Hello, my name is Gregory Smith. This video is on setting up menus and user security in Microsoft Dynamics SL. The system being presented is version 2015, although the processes and steps are very similar in version 7 and SL 2011. This video does not cover setting up network security for Dynamics SL, nor does it cover a complete discussion of Windows authentication versus SQL authentication for Dynamics SL, nor does it cover adding custom screens and reports to the Dynamics SL menu. There are three main elements that work together in the Microsoft Dynamics menu and security system to determine what menus are presented to a user and what screens they have rights for. The overriding element is the screen table. Each screen and report and query in Microsoft Dynamics SL has a separate record in the screen table. Then a menu or menus are set up that determine how the screens and reports are presented to the user. Finally, rights are assigned to a group and or a user, and also by company, screen, and a level of access to that screen, including adding records, viewing records, deleting records, etc. The intersection of these three elements will determine what menus will be presented to a user when they sign on to using a particular user ID and a particular company. Now I'm going to demonstrate the actual processes for setting up menus and security in Dynamics SL. All the functions associated with maintaining menus and security within Dynamics SL is handled through administration and system manager. Now we're going to go into the screen maintenance screen, and this is the table that holds all of the screens and reports that are part of the system. And you can see it has the number, it has the name, it has which module it's associated with, its type, and there's a variety of types, including screens, reports, queries, etc. And the final column there indicates whether it's a menu item or not. There are some screens and reports that are not on the menu that are processed automatically. You don't normally have to go into this screen because it comes pre-populated with all the screens that are part of the base product. The only time you really need to do it is when you're adding a custom screen to it. We're going to go into group maintenance here and do a lookup, and you'll see that there's a bunch of items in here. Starting in Dynamics SL 2011, Microsoft started pre-populating the group table with some pre-established groups. I don't particularly like this approach. If it's a small organization, I think this structure is way too complicated. And if it's a bigger organization, they certainly have the resources to set up a structure that makes sense for that particular organization. And you'll see after this video that we should be able to easily set up a structure that makes sense for your organization. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to go ahead and delete all of these extra groups. There's going to be two that we're going to want to leave. One is the administrators, and one is the everyone. Now it actually won't let you delete the administrator group if you try to. It'll stop you. Now you can delete the everyone group, and if you do so, you'd want to re-add it. Just give it a group ID of everyone, and it'll get it back into place. But we're going to go ahead and I'm going to delete all the extra groups. And when you get all done, this is what it should look like, just administrators and everyone. Yeah, you can see in the administrator group, we have sysadmin attached to it, and also to the everyone group. We're going to go into group maintenance here and set up a couple of menu groups. Group maintenance can be used for setting up menus, for assigning rights, or both together. I prefer to keep my menu groups entirely separated from rights. I think it makes for a simpler structure. So I'm going to create two of them, one called menu and the other called reporting menu. And you'll see later why we have two separate ones. And I'm going to put the sysadmin in both groups. And I'm going to go ahead and save this. So now I've got a couple of groups set up. And now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into menu maintenance. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the group called everyone. And you can see it's got its menu here. It has, this is the quick query. You can see the other modules down further below. And if you look up at the top, you can see the everyone group cannot be edited. You cannot remove items from it. You can't add items to it. It's kind of a fixed menu. And I don't like that because there may be times I want to get rid of things, add custom programs, etc. to it. So what I do is I take my menu group and I add in all the modules other than reporting into the menu group. What you end up with then is a menu that you can edit. Now naturally you wouldn't want to drag over any modules that you didn't even own or didn't plan on using. So for example, if you didn't use field service, you wouldn't drag it over. Now that you've got a menu set up, you can go ahead and edit things and remove things that you don't want to need. For example, let's say we're not using the bank reconciliation because we're using Cash Manager instead. You just simply click on it and delete. You can also go into individual items. For example, on payroll, if you're only going to use time and dollar, you can remove the time screen. You can also rearrange the order of the menu items. You just click on it, use the arrows at the top to raise or lower it within the menu structure. Let's say that you had accidentally dragged a module over into the menu area that you didn't actually need. For example, I'm going to pull this up here and select field service, then just go up to the top, delete. Field service is now gone. Programs are still there. The menu items still there if you need them. They're just off this particular menu. Now what we're going to do is we're going to close this now, and we're going to go into user maintenance. And we're going to pull up our user sysadmin. And we're going to go look at the groups. And you can see it's in administrators, everyone, menu, reporting. We're going to remove the everyone group from it. So we just have the administrator group, the menu, and the reporting menu. We'll go ahead and save this and close. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and close the application, reopen it, which is going to regenerate the menu navigation bar. You'll see that on the left. And here's our menu. You can see field service isn't there anymore. If we go into financial, roll them up, see bank reconciliation isn't there. If we go into payroll, under input, you can see that time is no longer there. Now the menu items are not actually gone. If you go into all modules, you'll see that everything is still there. So for example, if you go into payroll and scroll down, the menu items are displayed in alphabetical order. Go ahead and find time and double click on it. It'll open up that screen. And you can see we've simplified the menu simply by removing things we don't need. Now if you look at our menu as it's presented right now, we don't have reporting as a menu item. That's because we didn't drag it over when we created the menu group. So now what I'm going to do is under administration, I'm going to go to menu maintenance, and I'm going to look up the group called reporting menu, and I'm going to go ahead and drag reporting over into this menu. And there we go. Now, why did I put this into a separate menu? Here's why. If you look at the screens on this reporting menu, you can see there's no screen ID. This is Crystal Reports for Dynamics SL and Management Reporter. If you had previous versions to 2015, you may have had FRX in there. These are third-party products. Management Reporter is actually developed by Microsoft, but it's separate from the core Dynamics SL. And so it doesn't have a screen ID. In other words, there's nothing in the screen table for this. This is the exception to the rule that every screen is in the screen ID table. These menu items are not. So consequently, if we had included it on the regular menu, then the reporting would have shown up for every user, and we don't necessarily want to do that. So I create a... So now I'm going to close the application, regenerate the menu, and you can see reporting is now available for this particular user that we're logged in as, which is sysadmin. Now I'm going to go ahead into user maintenance, and we're going to create a new user. This is going to be M. Waters, Muddy Waters. And because this database is on Windows authentication mode, I'm not going to bother to put in an initial password. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach it to the Windows username. Now normally what you would do is put in domain / and mwaters' user ID, which by best practice should be the same as his Dynamics SL user ID. It doesn't have to be though. Now I'm going to actually attach it to my Windows ID so that I don't have to log on as a separate user to log in as Mr. Waters. And I do my look of my group, and you can see I don't want to put everyone in that, in the everyone group. I want to put him in the menu group, and we're going to go ahead and just save it now and close. And now I'm going to log in as Muddy Waters. Going to close the application, reopen. Go up here and I'm going to say switch user, and it jumped in as sysadmin. I'm going to change it to M. Waters, and I'm going to put in my network password ID. Remember, Windows authentication, it uses your network password. You see, there's no companies here for Mr. Waters because he doesn't have any actual rights at this point. He really can't get into anything. He's got basically a blank menu. Even though we put him in the menu group, he has no rights, therefore it doesn't display on the menu. So I'm going to go back in as sysadmin. So I can actually set some stuff up here, pick a company. And now it creates my menu. Go into administration. Go to group maintenance here. And I'm going to create a group called PR Clerk. Mr. Waters is a payroll clerk. And I'm going to put him in that group. And then I'm going to save it. Now that puts him into a group, not a menu group in this case, but an access rights group. So now I go into access rights, pull up that group, and I'm going to assign rights. Now I could assign rights for a particular company, or I could do it for all companies. If you're going to have the person do work for all the companies, then you might as well do that. Now, if you go to this load, preload, you can go find the module that you're interested in this case, payroll. And you just select it. If you want to select more than one module, you can do so. You can see here's all the list of modules. And then you click OK. And then what that does is load every screen and report associated with that module into this grid with rights for the PR group. Now let's take a look at this screen. You can see it's got the screen number, the type, the name, and it has the various rights on the particular screen. You have by default view rights, which you cannot unselect. Update, which means you can update existing records. Insert, which would allow you to insert existing records. Delete, which would delete ones, and the initialization mode. Now, the initialization mode is a very high-level mode that can do certain functions within the system that normally you would not give to an individual user. There are some screens which you may want to give specific user initialization rights, but typically you don't give user initialization mode rights. Now, these rights within the screen, view, update, etc., are done on a hierarchical basis. So, for example, if I click on delete, you can see that everything to the left of it gets selected automatically. If I unselect update, everything to the right of it. So you're going to have whatever you click plus everything to the left. So in other words, it doesn't make any sense to allow you to delete records but not update or insert them. As we scroll through this list of screens and reports, we're going to come across a report here. It's actually going to be the check report. And if you try to click update, insert, delete, you can see that nothing happens. That's because by definition of report can only be viewed. Now we're going to get to the bottom. We want to assign some rights levels to this screen in a very fast manner. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on delete, do a Control-C, drag up to the top, do a Control-V, and what it does is it assigns delete and to the left rights for every screen that is in the grid here. Now as we scroll down through here, we're going to start to edit the screen. We're going to find items we want to remove from the rights. Let's say we don't want the PR clerks to use this net check. We just simply delete it. And we'll continue to scroll down. As you look through this list, you'll see certain items that don't have the rights other than view and delete. Those are the reports that all you can do is view them. Now we're going to get down to the payroll setup and direct deposit setup, and we're going to uncheck the update on both of those items. So that'll allow the payroll clerk group to just simply look at those items, but not actually change them in any way. Now once we are done, we can save this. And now we're going to take a look at one other thing here. It's Windows user maintenance. What I've done here is, for demonstration purposes, I'm just using my Windows ID, and so I've added mWaters in under my Windows ID. It's not the default user, see that's checked, but that will allow me to log in using my Windows ID as mWaters. So now we're going to go in again and log in. It'll come up by default. It'll log in as sysadmin. And I'm going to go up and log in as mWaters. Nice, clicking switch user, putting his ID in. And password, and I'm again using my Windows ID, my Windows password. And that gets me logged in, and now it's regenerating the menu, and so you can see that Mr. Waters has the financial menu, but the only thing on it is payroll. And if you look at the input, you'll see that net check is missing. Now you can see he also has quick query because those are on that list of items. And if you look at modules, you can see that all the modules are still listed. Well, let's go try to go into an AP screen here. And nope, can't do it because M. Waters does not have any rights for that particular screen. So they're all modules. All the screens are still listed, but you can't actually get to them. Now here's the list of payroll screens. Okay, let's go into the time screen, and you can see that opens up just fine because Muddy Waters has rights for the time entry screen, so you can go and close that. So you can see that if you just simply remove something from a menu, but don't remove the rights, the employee can still get into it from the all modules. So something you don't want them to get into specifically, like the net check, you want to go ahead and remove it from the rights entirely. Here's an example. If we go into the payroll setup from all modules, you can still see the rights applied. Everything's disabled. Okay, what we're going to do is log out here and log back in as sysadmin. And I'm going to go ahead and we're going to look at a different user. And I previously set up this user. I'll wait for the menu to generate. And then go into administration. Go into user maintenance and pull up the user that I've already created. His ID is E. Clapton, Harry Clapton. And in the groups, he's only in AP, just in AP group, clerk group. So then I go into access rights maintenance, and I've already loaded some rights for the AP clerk group. And you can see those rights are all loaded in here. And so I'm going to go ahead and close this. And now we're going to, I'm going into the Windows user maintenance. And again, this is for demo purposes only. I'm attaching E. Clapton's ID to my Windows ID so that I can log in under his ID. I'm going to go ahead and close the screen completely, reopen it. Now it logs me in to my default, which is sysadmin. So I'm going to switch users. E. Clapton, my Windows password, and OK. Now you can see E. Clapton just has a home and an all modules. In all modules, you do have accounts payable. He has rights for those. If we try to go into something in Cash Manager, it will fail because he has no rights for Cash Manager. And I'm going to go switch back again to sysadmin because what we didn't do for E. Clapton was to put him into a menu group, so he didn't have any menu. Again, back to sysadmin. Go to user maintenance. Pull up E. Clapton. Go to the groups tab. Add him into the group menu. And we're going to go ahead and close and save. And now I'm going to switch user. It's regenerating the menu navigation bar since there's some changes here. We have quick query with just the AP queries. We have the financial with just the accounts payable. And of course the all modules. Now, we want to have that all modules, so we're going to say show, we're going to say hit the navigation button, and we're going to move financial up. You can't move it up above home. And all modules you cannot uncheck. So it's going to show regardless. But again, it's only going to let them in. Now you could uncheck quick query. But we want to leave it because we actually do want the rights for that. And so there's his menu. And we click financial. Going to go back into sysadmin so I can do some more maintenance. You can see the combination of the menu and the rights dictate what's shown here. So I'm going to go into user maintenance again, pick up Mr. Clapton, go to groups. Now I'm going to add the payroll clerk to him. So he's going to do both payroll and payables. Save it. Switch user. Regenerating menu, again, since it's a change. So now under financial, we have both accounts payable and payroll. So what it did was it took the fact that he was part of the menu group and then combined it with the rights showing that he was part of the account AP clerk security and the payroll security, and combine them to create the menu of just the items that he can get into. So to summarize, the menus that are presented to a particular Dynamics SL user is dependent upon a combination of the menu or menu groups they're part of and the access rights they've been assigned to by Screen & Company, either as an individual user or as a group. So my recommendations are to separate menu groups from access rights groups. In other words, assign menus to a group and assign rights to groups separate from the menus, and then assign both of them to the users. Then in the menu groups, remove screens and modules from the menus that you're not going to use or don't own to simplify the presentation of the menus. Finally, remove the screens from the access rights when you want to prevent a user from accessing a particular screen, because remember, the users can always get into the all modules portion of the menu system. Finally, I would recommend assigning rights only to groups and then assigning the users into those groups rather than assigning groups specifically to users. That makes it simpler to manage the rights to particular screens. I hope you've enjoyed the video. My name is Gregory Smith. Thanks for watching.